Baby mom and my mom birthday on the same day. I got baby mama out the way, you know what I'm saying? She out of town, close to somewhere, so now it's time to present my mom well pretty. She don't even know. You understand me? She about to ride foreign, you understand me? You know? She don't ain't never had no foreign, so you know, we're gonna put in that new thing, you understand me? Something new, you know what I'm saying, for her. So, it might not be musty out, but it's gonna be something for her, you feel me? That way.
Somebody called, they got hits.
They got hits?
No, you got you a photo for your birthday.
Happy birthday! Look at that car, girl!
Got you a new Jag, man. No payment.
No
That's that JAG, man.
Yeah, what's up?
And that's on me, baby. Let's see that her. Yeah. Look at the in the blue chips, the blue nails. Tell them play with it. Play with it. Look. Say, man, tell us that. Stand down, my boy. Look at this house.
Been cool since high school, little niggas a male, big pimp. Keep a bad bitch with me, never dirty Mac, a nigga ain't shit simp. Been getting to the money, niggas got the bows in, better get here. All a nigga knows how to be 100.
This is the 33-year-old Marquise DeAndre Conway, known publicly as Yella Beezy, a Dallas rapper whose rise from Oak Cliff to national fame is now overshadowed by his mother's suspicious death not long before his capital murder trial. On November 11, 2020, the Dallas rap scene was shaken when fellow artist Mo3 was shot and killed in broad daylight on Interstate 35E near the Dallas Zoo.
It happened on I-35 in Dallas, just south of the zoo, in broad daylight. Surveillance video shows the shooter getting out of a black Camaro, then chasing Mo3 on foot before the hit.
Years later, prosecutors charged Yella Beezy with capital murder, alleging he orchestrated the killing through a murder-for-hire plot. But everything changed in January 2026 when Yella Beezy's mother, Kimberly Jones, died under suspicious and unclear circumstances as his trial approached. But before we get to how rumors, grief, and a high-profile prosecution collided at the most critical moment of his life, we have to go back to the very beginning. This is the story of Yella Beezy and the controversy surrounding the death of his mother, Kimberly Jones. Marquise DeAndre Conway was born on March 17, 1992 in Dallas, Texas, into a life shaped early by instability, grief, and survival. He was raised in Oak Cliff, a neighborhood known as much for its sense of community as for the dangers that come with growing up surrounded by poverty and violence. At the center of his childhood was his mother, Kimberly Jones, known to many as Miss Kim, a woman who played an outsized role in shaping the man he would become. She was protective, outspoken, and deeply involved in her son's life, fully aware that the streets around them did not offer second chances. But even in those early years, it was clear that their story would not remain simple or quiet. That certainty hardened when Marquise was just 12 years old. On Mother's Day, his father was murdered, a loss that permanently altered the trajectory of his childhood. The death left Miss Kim to raise her son alone while navigating her own grief, and it forced Marquise to grow up faster than most children ever should. Friends and family later described how that moment changed him, how the carefree parts of childhood disappeared almost overnight. And from that point on, survival stopped being theoretical and became personal. Without his father, Marquise faced the pressure of Oak Cliff with fewer buffers. School existed, but the streets were always present, offering both temptation and threat. Music slowly emerged as his outlet. Rap wasn't just a pastime, it was a way to process loss, anger, and ambition. He wrote about what he saw and what he feared, pulling from real experiences rather than fantasy. But even then, music was only a tool. What mattered was where it might take him. By his late teens, Marquise had adopted the name Yella Beezy and began recording seriously. His early songs circulated locally, shared through word of mouth and car stereos across Dallas. He didn't try to soften his image. His lyrics reflected reality, grief, street politics, and the constant pressure to stay alive. the authenticity resonated, and slowly the city began to pay attention. As his catalog grew, Yella Beezy's presence in Dallas hip-hop expanded. He wasn't an overnight success. His rise was gradual and earned. Tracks gained traction, performances drew crowds, and his name started appearing alongside other rising artists from Texas. Miss Kim remained close throughout this period, publicly supportive and privately vigilant, reminding him of how quickly success could disappear. But momentum has a way of pulling people forward before they fully realize what's following behind them. The breakthrough came when Yella Beezy's music crossed regional boundaries. Songs like That's On Me propelled him into the mainstream spotlight, earning radio play and major collaborations.
Till I snap, they still put the blame on me. They leave out, they fuck shit, and got these people like shame on them. They ain't tell you they tried to cross me. They just told them I changed on them. I peeped that shit, then I fell back. They must think that I'm lame or something. They must think that I'm green or something. Fake friends don't mean me nothing. How you mad cause I peeped the...
Suddenly, he wasn't just an Oak Cliff rapper. He was a recognizable figure in mainstream hip-hop. Tours followed, industry opportunities opened, and for the first time, escape felt real. At the peak of his career, Yella Beezy represented success carved out of adversity. He spoke openly about coming from nothing and turning pain into progress. To fans, he embodied resilience. To critics, he was controversial but undeniable. Miss Kim, often mentioned in interviews and stories, was framed as the proud mother who had endured loss and struggle to see her son thrive. But beneath the surface, unresolved tensions lingered. With fame came visibility, and with visibility came conflict. Long-standing rivalries within the Dallas rap scene intensified as artists competed for recognition and influence. Among the most prominent of those rivalries was the feud between Yella Beezy and Melvin Noble Jr., known as Mo 3. Their tension was public, fueled by diss tracks, online exchanges, and neighborhood politics. But what many fans treated as spectacle, others recognized as something far more dangerous. On November 11, 2020, that danger became undeniable. Mo 3 was shot and killed in broad daylight on Interstate 35E near the Dallas Zoo. Surveillance footage captured the chaos as Mo 3 fled his vehicle and ran for his life before being gunned down. The killing shocked Dallas and sent ripples through the hip-hop world nationwide.
Texas rapper charged with murdering a rival is due in court.
Marquise Conway, also known as Yella Beezy, arrested last year after Dallas police say he hired a hitman to kill Mo 3.
Tiffany Liu is live this morning in the newsroom. And Tiffany, what can we expect from today's hearing?
Well, Mark, Kara, this is happening more than 5 years later. The Dallas rapper is inching closer to his trial date, and like you mentioned this morning, he will appear in court for a pre-trial hearing. So Marquise DeAndre Conway, better known as Yella Beezy, is accused of hiring a hitman to kill fellow Dallas rapper Melvin Mo 3 Noble in November 2020. The victim was only 28 years old. Once a friend, turned a rival, Yella Beezy is facing capital murder charges in this murder for hire case. It happened on I-35 in Dallas, just south of the zoo, in broad daylight. Surveillance video shows the shooter getting out of a black Camaro, then chasing Mo 3 on foot before the hit. A lot has happened in this legal process since 2020. Yella Beezy's bond was reduced last March, and he was released. And initially, he was ordered to house arrest with an ankle monitor and some really strict conditions. But more recently, the judge modified it, allowing him to go to the studio once a week to earn some income. Today, Yella Beezy is expected for his hearing at 9 a.m. in preparation for his trial, which is scheduled to begin February 2nd.
But the story didn't stop with the gunshots. As investigators examined the scene, the case quickly expanded beyond a spontaneous act of violence. Authorities began reconstructing timelines, analyzing phone records, financial transactions, and surveillance footage. What emerged, according to prosecutors, was the outline of a planned attack rather than a random encounter. And before long, the investigation turned towards someone the public already knew. Marquise was arrested and charged with capital murder, accused of orchestrating Mo 3's killing through a murder-for-hire scheme. The accusation instantly redefined his public image. Overnight, he shifted from successful rapper to defendant, facing life-altering consequences. The charges carried the possibility of life in prison, placing everything he had built in jeopardy. And suddenly, the climb that once defined his story was replaced by a fight for survival. The case against Yelabeezy was massive in scope. Prosecutors claimed to possess an overwhelming volume of evidence, surveillance footage, digital communications, jail calls, and financial data totaling tens of thousands of gigabytes. Defense attorneys pushed back, arguing that much of the material was irrelevant or circumstantial. But regardless of perspective, the case was not going away. As pre-trial hearings unfolded, the Mo 3 case became one of the most closely watched criminal proceedings in Dallas involving a hip-hop artist. Every development was dissected online. Blogs, podcasts, and commentary channels speculated about evidence, motives, and witnesses. And through it all, Yelabeezy remained under intense public scrutiny. While he prepared for trial under strict legal conditions, the stress touched every part of his life, especially his family. Miss Kim, long known as a vocal presence in her son's life, became a point of interest in public discussions. As the woman who raised him and stood by him through loss and success, her role, emotional, personal, and symbolic, was impossible to separate from the unfolding case. And as the trial date crept closer, that connection took on new weight. With February 2026 approaching, the atmosphere surrounding Yelabeezy grew heavier. The stakes were higher than ever, the evidence more complex, and the public louder. The rapper's rise from Oak Cliff had once been seen as a story of perseverance and ambition. Now it stood at the edge of something far darker. And just as the legal battle reached its most critical stage, another development emerged, one that would ignite controversy, speculation, and chaos, and shift the narrative in a way no one could have anticipated. As the legal clock continued ticking toward trial, a new wave of shock rippled through the online space surrounding Yelabeezy's case. This time, it didn't come from a court filing or leaked footage. It came from social media. Late in January 2026, posts began circulating claiming that Yelabeezy's mother, Kimberly Jones, known publicly as Miss Kim, had passed away under what were described as unknown circumstances. At first, the claims were vague. No official statement, no police confirmation, just screenshots, condolences, and whispers moving faster than facts. But within hours, the rumors refused to die down. People who identified themselves as family friends, former classmates, and community members began posting messages of grief. They referred to Miss Kim by name. They spoke of phone calls, hospital visits, and devastation. Condolences poured in, not just for her, but for Yelabeezy, now facing the possibility of a life sentence, while, according to the internet, losing the woman who had anchored his entire life. And that was when the narrative began to fracture. Some posts claimed she had died from food poisoning, others mentioned E. coli. A few suggested underlying medical conditions. None of it came with documentation. None of it came from official sources. Major outlets remained silent. No death certificate surfaced. No police report was released. And the absence of confirmation only made the speculation louder. As grief posts continued spreading, darker theories quickly followed. Comment sections filled with accusations, mockery, and conspiracy-laced speculation. Some users framed her alleged death as karma. Others explicitly linked it to the Mo 3 case, flooding posts with comments referencing the slain rapper. A smaller but louder group pushed even further, alleging ritual sacrifice, numerology, or divine punishment, claims with no evidence but devastating emotional weight. The internet once again turned tragedy into spectacle. Amid the chaos, others pushed back. People close to the family publicly called out the cruelty of turning a mother's alleged death into entertainment. They reminded commenters that regardless of Yelabeezy's charges, Miss Kim was not the defendant. She was a mother, a woman who had already lost her partner violently decades earlier, a woman now being dragged into online warfare. But restraint was no longer part of the conversation. What made the situation even more volatile was the growing contradiction between public records and social media certainty. As rumors surged, multiple databases and past interviews continued to list Miss Kim as alive. A 2019 documentary featured her prominently, placing her clearly and undeniably in the public record. And yet, no major outlet, local or national, had confirmed her death at the time the speculation exploded. And suddenly, the story wasn't just about loss, it was about truth. The uncertainty fractured the narrative in real time. One side spoke with absolute confidence, sharing condolences and dates as if they were confirmed fact. The other pointed to silence from verified sources and questioned how a death of this magnitude could exist almost entirely within comment sections and live streams. With no official statement to anchor the moment, grief and doubt began occupying the same space. That collision created an immediate legal ripple effect. Defense attorneys were forced to navigate a media storm while preparing for trial, knowing that perception can harden long before jury selection ever begins. Prosecutors, already managing an enormous evidentiary burden, now had to contend with the risk of jury contamination, public opinion being shaped not by sworn testimony or court filings, but by blogs, viral clips, and speculative narratives. In a case already defined by notoriety, the margin for misinformation narrowed even further. And in the middle of it all was a woman whose status, alive or deceased, had become a matter of public debate. The controversy raised another critical question: Miss Kim's legal proximity to the case. While she was not charged with any crime, her closeness to Yelabizzi had long placed her within the orbit of the investigation. In the weeks leading up to trial, online speculation intensified, suggesting she may have had knowledge of conversations, movements, or relationships relevant to the MO3 case. Some voices went further, claiming she was a potential witness, someone whose insight, however indirect, could matter once proceedings began. But here too, facts were scarce and assumptions plentiful. No filings confirmed her role. No official witness list named her publicly, and yet the speculation persisted, fueled by proximity rather than proof. In the absence of verified information, conjecture filled the gap, transforming a private individual into a symbol of something larger than herself. What was undeniable, however, was the emotional and psychological toll the moment carried. If Ms. Kim had indeed passed, it would mark the second time Yelabizzi lost a parent to sudden or traumatic circumstances, this time while facing the most serious legal threat of his life. If she had not, then the spread of false death rumors represented a different kind of harm, one rooted in misinformation, harassment, and the erosion of basic human dignity. Either way, the timing was catastrophic. As February approached, the court pressed forward. Pre-trial hearings continued. Motions were argued. Prosecutors sought to streamline what they planned to present, while the defense challenged relevance, chain of custody, and the sheer volume of digital material, more than 16,000 gigabytes, arguing that critical facts were being buried beneath excess. The legal machine did not pause for rumor, even as rumor threatened to reshape the landscape around it. Meanwhile, the public narrative continued to spiral. Blogs prematurely declared outcomes. Some sites falsely reported sentencing results that had not occurred. Others blurred the line between allegation and fact, publishing predictions as if they were conclusions already reached. And in doing so, they blurred the line between justice and entertainment. For Yelabizzi, the convergence of these events marked a turning point. His story, once framed as a rise from adversity, now existed at the intersection of grief, accusation, and uncertainty. The presence or absence of his mother became symbolic of something larger: how quickly truth can be drowned out when emotion, bias, and virality take control, and how little protection exists for families caught in the crossfire. As the trial loomed, one thing was clear. The MO3 case was no longer confined to what happened on a Dallas highway in 2020. It had expanded into a multi-layered reckoning about fame, rivalry, justice, and the human cost that extends far beyond the accused. And whether Miss Kim was gone or enduring quietly off camera, her name had become inseparable from the most consequential chapter of her son's life. The truth, however, was still unfolding, and justice, whatever form it would take, had yet to speak. What do you think about it? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.